happened? Nice to see you. To see you, nice. I can get my tray, so I'm not touching and wobbling the computer. I realized I didn't do it in HD, I don't think. Just let me oh no, it is in HD. Didn't look like it was in HD. Yeah, I'm looking super spiritual tonight. With my big crown. That wasn't the intention, but that's what's happened. My crown and my plant. Although my plant will go to sleep throughout the video. These plants normally contract in the evening. They're so beautiful, these ones. I love these. It feels nice. It's like silky. Okay, so let's begin. So if you've been on my live stream before, then you know how it works. If you haven't, then the way that you ask me questions is through Skype. My Skype address is Lisa Cairns 12, and the title tonight is Searching for Enlightenment, Non-Duality with Lisa Cairns. So you can write to me on Skype, and my Skype address, as I said, is Lisa Cairns 12, and you can find that in the box below. And you can also call in, but if you want to call in, please put call me and I'll call you when I'm ready. Don't put anything else after call me so I can see your message. And you need a headset with good internet connection and a quiet background, so it's not unpleasant for other people. And calls always take preference, so be brave and call in, although don't traumatize yourself. Yes. What else? I just realized that I've forgotten my headset. It was in the other room. It's normal, I always forget my headset. I will sneak out while we're doing the meditation. So, yeah, I always like to start off with some silent sitting. I never used to call it like that. I just used to sit in silence. But now I've started naming it for people. You could call it a meditation if you like. And what I like about doing the silent sitting is that it gives, just chance for everything to settle and to let the words come out when they're ready to come out. That's what I like about it. Yeah, just like this kind of settling down before the talk. You can do whatever you like. I don't really have a prescription of anything, but I will give you some practices that you can do if you feel like you need a practice. But know that this is a description of something that might happen, that could happen. It's not actually a prescription. So if I tell you the mindfulness of breathing, know that when you do it, even though you think it's you doing it, it's actually happening. Because who is the you that's doing the meditation? Who? Yeah. So the different meditations that I recommend is, number one, the mindfulness of breathing. This is a Buddhist practice that I learned at the London Buddhist Center. And basically you count your breath. Every time you breathe in, you count 1 and then you ascend all the way up to number 10. And when you reach number 10, you go back to 1. So all you're doing is just counting your breath up to number 10 and then going back to 1, 10 to 1. And what happens is that you begin to go off into dreamland and thinking about things, and then you realize you're at like 936. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a competition. It's just putting your intention there to try and stay focused on the breath. So it's an exercise of focus and focusing the mind. But again, it's something that happens. It's not actually an individual activity. The next one that I recommend is just putting your attention back into the I am, or back into consciousness. So your mind drifts off into thinking about the world and then bringing it back to presence. Then the last one that I recommend is just doing whatever you feel like. So just closing your eyes and letting the mind do what it wants to do. Just giving it permission to go wild, to chatter, to ruminate, to be focused, whatever it wants to manifest as. Yes. Okay, now I'm going to dong my big gong. Here we go. I hope it doesn't sound a little funny because I haven't got my headset, so it's coming out 2 portals. But maybe it works. So just notice the mind does what the mind does. And there's something that watches that. There's something that knows that. And everything is a starting place. So your mind might be telling you know, why you can't do this, or how you failed, and how you shouldn't do this, and just notice that. That's the way in. That's the exploration. It's just speaking. And that's not you, a personal you speaking. That's generations of humanity speaking. If you're doing the mindfulness of breathing, just really devour and enjoy the movement of your breath, the way it goes all the way down to your belly. How luscious that is. How free that is. How without any judgment that is. It's just there, happening. Okay, we are finished. Welcome back. Yes. Okay. So we shall begin the talk, and it's called Searching for Enlightenment. Just going to put my feet up. Really funny, swiveling along. Oh. Yeah. It's all very delicate, this setup. One false move and it all collapses. Okay. So I presume that most of you here at one point or another have been searching for enlightenment. Maybe maybe you've given up that idea from all the talks that you've listened to and all the processes you've been through, but maybe still some of you have this idea of enlightenment, which is so dramatic. I think originally when I first got into this subject, I was attracted to enlightenment because it was like a superpower. It was like becoming a superhero. I read this book from a Buddhist nun who told all these stories of walking through walls, of slowing her mind down so much that she could go back in time and listen to a Buddhist sermon. Yeah, all types of magic. And I was like, yeah, I want some of that. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Yeah. Seeking enlightenment. And then as you begin to go onto this path and go down the rabbit hole of enlightenment, then all your ideas begin to be challenged. And all your notions about this idea enlightenment begin to be challenged. First off, maybe we need to establish an idea of what enlightenment is. So every teacher has different views on what enlightenment is. Ramesh Balsaka used to say, enlightenment is not a certified event, which I thought was very beautiful. You can't get a certificate in enlightenment, although some schools do try to do some sort of enlightenment certificate. You're stamped. You have the mark. And some try to give out levels of enlightenment that you've achieved. And for a lot of people, enlightenment remains this far off thing that only very popular gurus have, or very aesthetic sages. And so I have a unique view on what enlightenment is, which is so different from other people's view of enlightenment. A lot of people have the idea that enlightenment is about personal enlightenment, that you go through a transformation and that your personality changes and you as a person become enlightened. Whereas that's not my view. My view is that there is a transformation that happens that's impersonal. there is a shift of energy, and you could call it an energetic shift from being a personal person who's experiencing, to everything experiencing, or no thing experiencing. Or if we want to call it consciousness experiencing. And that in itself shifts the person and changes the person. But the person doesn't become enlightened. So maybe I need to say what the person is. So to me, the person is a combination of genetics and conditions. So what you've genetically inherited and the conditions that you've experienced in this life. And when that shift happens, there is a transformation. And normally prior to that shift, the person goes through a transformation. And then after the shift, they go through more transformation. But the person is a never-ending phenomena that is always changing and evolving. And in a way, it's not something that actually exists. It's habits and conditions that are moving and evolving continuously. So it's never still enough to capture. It's like a movement, and it's always in flux. Just like everything in this world. So in a way, you could also say there isn't actually a person there. Ever. So the person can never awaken. And that shift, you could call going home. That movement is going home. Prior to that shift, there's always a part of you that feels like you're not at home. And then after that shift, that which is experiencing is deeply at home. Hello. So it's deeply at home. And it's not a personal thing, it's beyond the personal. It's that which is experiencing now isn't a person. That which is experiencing now is infinite. It's no thing and all things. It doesn't belong to someone. So you think that you're looking at me, and you think that that person that's looking has arrived from the past and is going into the future. Whereas that's the dream. That's happening in your thoughts and your imagination. There is something prior to that, which watches that, which never moves. And is not a thing, and all things. And that person isn't actually alive. So it feels like that person's alive, and the thoughts say that person's alive, but that's like a computer program running in something that's much deeper. This empty looking. And there's also this I am, but not I am something. The I am, you could say, is love. It's like beingness. And this consciousness and this beingness, this I am, are one and the same thing. And if you really went deep into it, you'd begin to realize even those concepts disappear. And it's beyond all words. It's total mystery. But when we're speaking about it, there is ways in which it can be spoken of, and then even that's let go of. Like simplified ways to speak about it. More simple. And there's two listenings that happen. There's the listening from the mind, which has relevance, that will recondition the mind, recondition the body. But then there's a deeper listening that's happening. And that's not really a listening. That is something recognizing itself. And that's beyond the person. The person is a phenomena that's being watched. Even the personal awareness is being watched. So when you move your attention to this moment, that's still in the personal world. It's known, so therefore it's in the personal world. Something knows that activity. Something knows the activity of the one that's thinking about it, the one that recognizes it. You are that freedom. So there's two different things that will be happening now. The mind wants to hold on to something. So the mind wants to be fed or wants to be entertained. And that's not a problem. But in that mind activity, there can be something called seeking. And what seeking means to me is the pursuit of freedom in an activity. So freedom is the watching, and the seeking is a pursuit of that freedom in the activity. So the mind is looking to the words to find some form of relief. And it might give you momentarily relief. Yeah, you can have like these mental orgasms, or you understand something better and it's like, and the seeking drops away. But it's not actually that satisfactory because the seeking comes back and it has an agitation in it. So there's not a contentment of being here. You're trying to zone out, or you're trying to get to somewhere else, or you're trying to not feel. So you're trying to drift off somewhere else. So then there's another type of listening, which is beyond that, which is a recognition of self meet self. And that's deeply relaxing. And you might have moments of it, and then moments of contraction, moments of it, and moments of contraction. And all of that is okay. It's just pointing it out. Just recognizing it all. So the searching for enlightenment in this moment is actually, most of the time, a searching to not be here. It's a hope and an imagination to be something else than what you are. So it's this activity of living in time, this idea of enlightenment that you are going to get to now, or tomorrow, or next week, in 2 years. And that can give you great bliss and great highs. And that can also make you feel like a failure, incapable, incompetent, not enough. And it will more than likely oscillate between those different worlds. I got it, I lost it, I got it, I lost it. And then there is something else that's resonating beyond that never leaves, that's not seeking, that's not wanting, that doesn't need something. It's right here. And you could call that love. It's crystal clear. It is what's looking now. It is what's looking now. It is. It's what's doing everything. It's what's creating the speaking. It's what's creating the sounds. It's what's creating everything. And I don't have it any more than you. This isn't something you pay to get off of me. Everybody has the same amount and is the same amount of consciousness. Ramesh Balsekar always used to say, it's the birthright. And it really is the birthright. Perfect, brilliant stillness. It's so deep. It's wonderful. Okay, so let's go to questions. So just a reminder about questions. So if you want to call in, then you do so through Skype. My Skype address is Lisa Cairns 12. And remember to have a headset with a microphone. And remember to be clear before you call what you want to talk about. So what I'm looking for in questions is a question or a little bit of exploring of your experience or exploring of a seeking dynamic. And when I say exploring of your experience, I mean exploring it in order for me to speak about that. Yeah. I just say that to try and make the questions crisp and precise and to the point. Yeah. Nice. So I see Lucas wants to call in. So yes, we will speak to Lucas next. So I'm just about to call you Lucas. Yeah. Okay. Put my headset in.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Lucas. Am I saying your name right? I have a feeling I'm not.
Can you say my name again?
Lucas.
Yeah, it's, yeah, you're saying it right, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Nice.
Yeah, I would like to just settle in at first.
Yeah, sure.
It is interesting to witness the reaction of the body.
Yeah.
Just when you call in, just the
Yeah.
pulse going up and just like feeling
Yeah.
the energy in the whole body.
Yeah. What is can you perceive what it's afraid of? Is it afraid that I will chastise you or tell you off, or afraid of others, or it might not be clear?
It's not fear, no. Maybe more excitement.
No, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lisa, I like to talk about experiences that happened since, I don't know, half a year of me not being there and just the body acting out, and me not knowing like I am, like Lucas is not there, but there's a process going on of wanting to figure out what this is.
So let's
What is
just,
happening?
yeah, that's great. I would love to explore that, just so that we've got similar concepts to be able to explore about this. Like when you say Lucas is not there, do you mean that? What do you exactly mean by that? Because that can mean so many different things to different people, depending on the like the school of non-duality or Buddhism that you've grown in.
Yeah.
It's hard, so hard, these things to
Of
talk
course
about.
it is. Yeah, like all the concepts about what reality is are not there anymore. Without meaning, everything is seen like how it is, like in regular life, right? But yeah, without knowing what it is, and it just happens. And I seem like my body reacts, but I am not in control. Like there's no me to be in control. And even like with thoughts and emotions, it is just like watching a ball running over the grass or something, just like not this direct, which is usually my usual experience.
So
Like direct meaning attaching it that I am that thought, for example, and so on.
no, yeah. So would you say you don't feel like the person anymore? There's more a watching of the person.
Oh yeah, just yeah, but not even watching is what you can say what it is. Like it's still like it's just just I failed to put it into words. Yeah, so the closest would be watching. Yeah, and it's not even watching, but and it's also looking, but it's not looking. And yeah, that's so like when the mind comes in and wants to create patterns of, oh yeah, these experiences happens when in these kind of situations, then I recognize a pattern. And it's so interesting that these experiences don't happen from like the control, from my control. Like I don't make them happen, just like being in them, just yeah. So I feel like I'm speaking more without direction. So I want to go into that, like getting into a class or something like that for a stream.
And would you say that seeking stopped when that happens?
Oh yeah. There's no seeking to begin with. There's just this happening, like dancing for itself.
And what do you define as seeking?
Something in the future that I want to be or something. But like these experiences were not of the person was not in it. That sounds, I still fail to put it into words. Although I wrote about it and contemplated it and so on in my journal.
But there's still desire of the body, like you still desire to go to the toilet and desire to eat.
It just happens. There's no Lucas who says, oh yeah, I gotta go to the toilet or something. It's just
There's an impulse, or not even that.
Yeah, and not even that, that's true. Yeah, that's true. So there's a want to put that into a question, but yeah, maybe I want to sit with that first to maybe figure out a question that could be there that you can answer, that would be like going into a direction like, for the stream and so on. I feel like the mind wants to come in and construct a question that is like very interesting or something, but what is calling me to call you is more the no control aspect of these experiences. It seems like it's all right that I don't get it, like the mind doesn't get what is happening. But yeah, I get there's a seeking of being not in control and just letting life flow through you. But it's coming from the mind, and it's not happening just out of this moment. Or I guess it is happening in this moment because it's there, but still. So I would like to, I would love to hear you share what comes up when you hear these experiences. And I would like to hear on, just the aspect of being not in control, just that this is just happening.
Yeah. So when these awakening experiences happen, this might not be true to you, Lucas, but this just is what comes to be said. So when these awakening experiences happen, the mind or the thoughts, and I don't mean this negatively, it doesn't mean to be seeking necessarily, it's just the nature of thinking. The thoughts want to match that experience with the experience of others. It might not want to admit that's what it's doing, but it wants to be able to put it into categories so it can know where it is. And this doesn't even have to be identified, or it doesn't even have to be seeking. It's just the nature of what thinking does, is to categorize experience. So it will listen to other people speaking, and it will like to match up what it experiences with other people's experience. And this is so human, because if we don't do this, then we're not part of humanity. Humans are always looking to belong, and this isn't seeking or not seeking, it's again the nature of being human. Just like dogs want to belong to a dog pack, humans want to belong to a human pack, and part of belonging to a human pack is belonging to collective ideas. In fact, that's maybe one of the most important belonging to the human pack, is that we have to have similar ideas in order to live together. And it's so radical that in humanity that massive wars have been waged over ideas. There was this lecturer, I met her actually at a conference once. Her name was Susan, I think. She came from Oxford University, and her and this other guy called Richard Hawkins or something made up it might be Dawkins, I can't remember his last name. They made up this philosophy about, they called them memes. And instead of so it's kind of like a cross between genes and dreams. And what memes are is the evolution of ideas and the ideas wanting to exist. So it's a complex theory, but it's like that like how our DNA tries to exist and tries to evolve in order to become bigger and exist and occupy more space. It's the same of these memes. So God is a meme, non-duality is a meme, education system is a meme, countries is a meme, and they're all trying to be bigger than the other memes. Just like evolution, just like us as humans, we're trying to dominate our environment and be the most successful species. And we're all subjective to these memes, and we all, our thinking patterns want to meet up with others that have the same memes. So those that want to believe in Christianity, and particular Christianity, you know, there's all these different groups, like I forget all the names of the groups. Christianity, yeah, there's all these different groups in Christianity, and they want to have the most similar memes as possible, and these memes want to grow and spread. And this is part of our survival as humans. We're so invested in this. It's so beautiful, and it's one of our greatest suffering, because the biggest meme there is me and you. the idea of me and you.
Mm.
So when we have these experiences, naturally what the mind wants to do is align with other teachers' experiences. It's just what it wants to do, is it wants to report back and know that it fits and belongs to other people.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just an activity it does. Like, so the first couple of years after it happened here and when I was teaching, like there was a period of me trying to, not consciously but unconsciously, align with other teachers or way of speaking. And it wasn't seeking necessarily. It could be an old seeking patterns, but it wasn't necessarily seeking. It was just the nature of what the mind does. Is it wanted to fit into a particular group or way of seeing non-duality. So even within non-duality, it wanted to align more. And then there was the crumbling of that. Life was very gracious, as in it gave me these experiences where this began to crumble. And so even though I speak a particular way in non-duality, and you could say I align with people, I really don't care. Or there's really a not caring at the same time. Like, so there is now, in some way, a real confidence in the way that non-duality or those awakening experiences are interpreted into thinking. And there's also a not caring if they fit or don't fit. Right, so just it, and you could also say that that is some form of control that's let go of. Like, it's okay to just be whatever this is. And then this deep, deep knowing and this resonance, and it's like an energetic shift that who and what is experiencing now is nothing, and that is home. That is home. Nothing else is more important. They're thoughts that come and go. You work something out and it's exciting and then it passes. You understand and it's exciting and it passes.
What comes up right now is that me calling you and speaking about these experiences is like seeking an outside source that validates my experiences, but I am the only one who can experience, who can validate myself. Like I am, like I give like authority to you because I watch you.
That's okay. That's part of the process. But it's just that recognition.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So the person,
Yeah.
so that to me is like a condition and a habit of the body. And we could call that the person, the character, whatever you want to call it. And then there's the movement to do that. It doesn't even necessarily need to be seeking, it could just be a habit. The seeking part is when there is a looking for freedom in my validation. And it's just recognizing all of that. And that's the play, and that's beautiful. And what is watching that mystery is free. It's here and it's free. It never needs anything. And that's who you truly are. That which needs nothing. That which is nothing. That which is always here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Yeah, lots of love to you. Beautiful.
Yeah, and I want to just say one last thing to you. It's very much appreciated how you say goodbye with wishing us everything. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish you everything.
Lots of love to you.
Yeah, lots of love, Lucas.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, Izzy. I love you, Izzy. Thank you for your message. Anybody else like to call in? That is my preference, to speak live to somebody. There's also written questions. Oedipus. Hi Lisa, it's great to see you at last. For a moment, how the mind plays with us. Yeah. Hi Oedipus. Yeah, lovely to see you. Yeah, really lovely. And such an amazing picture. Hi Marcus. Dear Lisa, I was going to ask you about something, but then I realized I'm just looking for love and approval. Also, I didn't want to make a decision, but I did, so no question from me. By the way, I love to hear you speak German sometimes. It's such a difficult language for many foreigners, but you're doing great. Lieb, lieb Gruß aus Deutschland. I'm not sure what Gruß is. Liebe Gruß aus Deutschland. Something love out of Deutschland. Love from Deutschland? Oh, lovely greetings from Germany. Yeah. Danke, Marcus. Ich liebe dich. But apparently that's really strong to say in German. It's not like I love you like in England. Yeah. So Eric would like to call. I'm just going to have to go to the toilet. And then I speak with Eric. Excuse me. This is the little intermission. Quickly get your drinks, your popcorn. Ich bin hier.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Eric. Thanks for calling.
Oh, yeah. Great to talk to you.
Yeah.
So thanks for the intermission. I needed to use the restroom as well. So I'm just...
Yeah. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it cut off. Yeah, take your time. That wasn't meaning to be a rush, but I just thought there'd been a cut or something.
So I recently joined a therapy group.
Yeah.
And in it, they have a text that we follow along with, and there's a list of skills that they use. And there are two that kind of stood out to me that seem similar to at least the way I've taken non-duality in, which was there's a skill called radical acceptance, which is, they say, accepting what is in order to cope better, basically. Um, and the other one was wise mind, which is balancing the thought and emotions and seeing that neither one is to have dominance, I guess, to try to be more neutral about it.
Hmm.
And so my question, though, is, being that there is no self, apparent things like therapy may arise that may provide apparent help, but I still get stuck on this, like, how much do I have to try to engage? Like, I can go to therapy, but then when I'm home in my free time, what do I do? Do I get up and exercise, or do I just sit like I usually do? So there's still that thing of like pushing myself. And I think if there's no self, who am I pushing, or does it just happen by itself? So I'm trying to engage with therapy, but I know that non-duality is not a therapy and can't be applied. So um, I'm just kind of stuck in that, like, no doer versus responsibility piece.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you think it's great that you're going to therapy?
Yeah.
Therapy
No,
isn't in opposition to non-duality, like often people think it is. Like, who is there to work on? So who would do therapy? And that's seen as absolutely not the case from here. So therapy to me is working on the habits and the conditions of the body-mind mechanism. And that exists prior to awakening and after awakening. You'll always have habits and conditions. What the shift is the realization and the shift from that being you. That is an experience happening in you, but who you are is this empty looking. So working on your habits and conditions is the same as, like working on the body, or learning to become a mathematician, or tidying the house. So the body is a machine, you could say, and that machine is producing these habits and conditions. It works from these habits and conditions. So say if we had a robot with an AI in it, and the way that AIs are functioning, I think, at the moment, is that we program them to evolve by themselves. So the AI learns things about its surrounding, and then, or whatever it's taught or programmed to learn, and then evolves from that. So if it's a cleaning AI robot, it would learn over time how to clean your place better by evolving by information that you tell it. And that's its programming, and that's not who it is. But that's what we see, and that's what we name as. So if we named this robot AI called Harry, we would believe that there is a Harry identity in there after a while. We'd begin to get confused and think that it was alive and existed and it was called Harry. And that's what's happened with these bodies. So these bodies are like machines functioning. And then we name them because they're all unique and they've all got particular ways of being. Like my machine, Lisa, is so different from your machine, and then different from the next person's machines. There's no two machines the same. And then we believe that's a person, and that's an entity, and that person and consciousness are one and the same thing. Whereas actually there is a consciousness watching that person. And that consciousness is free. The person will never be free. The person is, in a way, habits and conditions that are evolving. So they're conditioned, so they'll never be free. When we say that freedom is complete non-conditions, the end of conditions. And consciousness is love. Consciousness and this I am, this beingness, is absolute love. And it's unconditioned. It's no thing and it's all things. It's experiencing, but yet there is no experiencer. You could even go so deep into that experiencing that you could also say there is equally no experiencing happening. It's all words. So I can't actually say how things are. I can only be pointing because the words are so incomplete. So the way that choice works... Oh, sorry. Okay, you can speak now. I've been going.
Oh, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm curious to hear what you'll say about choice. I just was going to say that it seems to me that from the moment we're born, we're like a sticky mirror that takes on things in its environment that become part of our genes that on and express or don't. So, and kind of just like a bunch of synapses firing off randomly based on the environment. So I'm not really doing it. It's just like a big light.
Yeah, Eric, do you know, I think it might be better if you take your headset out. I think your headset's a little bit dodgy. I know I normally say always wear your headset, but hopefully it'll be okay if you take it out.
Oh yeah, I'm on speakerphone, right?
Oh, you're on speakerphone, you haven't got a headset. And yeah, maybe just go nearer to the Wi-Fi then. A little bit nearer, if you can.
Right. Yeah.
It's okay
Well,
though. It's not so bad. I can hear you quite well. So so choice. We believe once again, or there is this identification with choice, and we believe that it's our choice and that we're choosing. Whereas actually choice is a mechanism that's updating the machine. So by the contemplation prior to choice, we're actually updating the machine of information. So say if we're going to choose a house, by contemplating the choice, so by contemplating how it was built, when it was built, what materials it was built with, how many times it's been sold before, where it's situated, all these types of things, the price. We are actually updating the machine, Lisa, the body-mind mechanism, the habits and the conditions. We're updating it to help it evolve to make a more updated choice. But it's not somebody's choice. So if we update ourselves about the information of houses, so we're picking through 2 different houses, which one to buy, by updating the computer of information about the houses, it then allows us to make a more sophisticated choice. And that's the same with Siri. Say, if you give Siri more information, then Siri can respond with a more accurate answer. But Siri doesn't think I exist and I'm making a choice. it just uses that information to help it select whatever we're asking it for. So choice making is a way of updating these machines all the time. So say we're picking what's for dinner. By learning about what's healthy for the body, by learning about what's not healthy, will affect the choice making process when it comes to dinner. But it's not anybody's choice. That's something that's happening. It's a functioning that's happening. What the storyteller tells is that it's my choice and I've got to make a choice. And then it can get very neurotic about the choice making because it believes that my happiness is dependent on the choice I make. It's all kind of like neurotic thinking based on false ideas a lot of the time around choices. And choice making is also something that we're taught by our parents. So if you're not conditioned by your parents to be confident in your choice making, then you'll more than likely be a unconfident choice maker. If you're conditioned to be an overly confident choice maker by your parents, then you'll more than likely be overly confident. And that's a process that we learn, like early in childhood. So ideally, we don't want parents that are dictating to us what we do. We want parents that are helping us explore what it is we want and don't want. But the parents still need to tell us things to do and not do, so things like brushing the teeth. But rather than the parent dictating, like you have to brush your teeth now, it's like helping the child make that choice for itself. And explaining to the child and repetitively doing that, it might be years before the child decides it wants to brush its teeth by itself. But it's not dictating it, it's this encouragement, but encouragement for it to make its own choice. The same with food, because eventually that child will become independent and has to navigate choice making, and choice making is very directly linked to personality, because what we choose creates personality. But again, this is all personal, it doesn't belong to anyone. So what I mean by it creates personality, it's like what you choose, it creates your living situation, which is what we call the person. So whether you're a doctor, whether you've got a home, whether you've got money, partner, children, what else is there? Dog. Whether you play board games or you like this or you like that, like choice making is fundamental to the character and the personality. But it's not personal. There isn't anyone doing that. That's happening. It's a functioning happening of the body. And in this moment, choices come from nowhere. But when you look in time, so when you use your mind, you can see that choices are an endless succession that date back right to the beginning of time. So this choice now to call me relied on everything that came before, right? The dinosaurs, the Stone Age, the Big Bang, humans learning language, the education system, the internet being created. So you didn't actually make an independent choice that belonged to you. Like your choice is a succession of everything, which is really beautiful. It's love. Your words now are a result of everything.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It leaves me really wordless, actually.
Yeah. So that's beautiful that you say that leaves me wordless. And that's how the humans speak. So I would say me too. It leaves me wordless. But the awakening is this deep knowing that that's not who you are. That's what the body does. That's how the body functions. That's how the body speaks in society. Like, it's not appropriate to say, my body agrees with you. The Lisa character agrees with you. But there's this deep knowing that what's looking now isn't you as a person. What's looking now is absolutely mysterious. It's no place and all places simultaneously.
Yeah, it's beautiful, that sense of non-location. It makes me think of like a disco ball.
Yeah, I never heard that before. It's sweet.
Well, thank you for your time, Lisa. Again, it's just been interesting to observe the progression and being in this therapy group and finding like that while I question doership, there's still a sense of it, and I can allow for that experience to be what it is, and to and watch apparent changes happen, and I don't know, just
And just also contemplate, like, there's always going to be the appearance of choice in the personality. Ramesh Balsakar used to say, if the person didn't feel like it could choose, it would feel like it was caged. So the personalities of the body-mind. So it's important that the body-mind feels like it's choosing, even though it's not. And he used to say, that's the ingenious design of God. It gives the appearance that the puppet is free to play in whatever way it wants to play.
yeah. I guess the most concise phrase for me is chop wood, carry water, because nothing really changes.
I wonder if we updated that to a modern one, what it would be. Like that comes from, like maybe hundreds of years ago, when that was more what we did in daily life. So what would it be in this life, like this more modern life?
Go to the bathroom and send emails.
Yeah. Go to the bathroom. Emails, bathroom, emails, bathroom. Nice. Yeah, thanks, Eric. Really beautiful, the questions. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Likewise, I appreciate it, Lisa. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, lots of love. Bye. Hey, Alango. Alango is here. Tuk, 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 tuk. Alango is here. If you're listening, Alango, I'm not sure if Alango always listens to the talks. I'm happy to have a conversation. So you can say call me and we can speak, but I don't think you're listening, so you don't realise. Hi Lisa, thanks for your talks. May God bless you. Danke, Apana. Thank you, Aparna. Hey, Nick. Ah, beautiful rainbow. Hey, Thomas. Nice. Pardon me? So just looking to see if there's any questions in Messenger, in the chat, because there's no questions left in Skype. I don't know if there is any question. I think everyone's just talking amongst themselves. Yes, if anyone has any questions. Okay, Brian, call me. Yes. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Lisa.
Oh, I have a view of your hand on a mat.
Oh, hang on. The
Is
camera's
it like green and black mat? Oh.
Oh, yeah. Is it off?
Yeah, it's off now.
Cool. All right.
Hello, nice to hear from you.
Yeah. Good to see you today. Yeah, just give me a moment.
Sure.
Yeah, I was totally not expecting the call.
And so quickly.
Yeah. So anyway, I have a question, I think. I really never quite know what to ask. But yeah, let's just see what comes out of this. So I keep coming, it feels like, to like total exasperation, like moments of like complete like, you know, like, okay, I'm done with seeking. I can't take this anymore. Life is too much. And then I realize that's seeking as well. But, you know, in my personal case, it seems like the seeking patterns, or when I act them out or I believe them, can be very painful for on the human level. So really what I'm trying to understand is, which is also seeking, is how to bring enough clarity to the situation or my life or that specific aspect of my life, you know, not to make things so hard on myself. Because, you know, I do bring, you know, often when I talk to you, I bring like the hardest parts of my life.
Yeah.
as as a presentation piece, but that's not always how it is. But it is like the parts that I want to transform the most,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, totally.
I can talk about the happy aspects, but it's those maybe those aren't super important all the time. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know if anything comes from that.
Yeah, totally. Where are you at the moment? You in Europe or America?
No, I'm still in the States. I'm thinking about going down to Mexico maybe to chill with Matt for a while. He's in
Oh,
Mexico
nice.
right now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's all open?
I think Mexico's all right. It's
Oh,
not too
yeah,
bad.
Mexico's open. Yeah, I know a lot of people that normally go to India are going to Mexico this year.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying attention to the news, so I don't really know what the situation is. But I think it's okay to go to Mexico, as far as I know. It's like a $50 flight or something. So,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can understand there is periods of just wanting to give up, but this is all in the personality structure. So to consciousness doesn't care if you wake up or not, but not in like the way that a dad doesn't care or a mum doesn't care or a friend doesn't care. It just doesn't have the ability to care. All consciousness or the beingness does is this watching, is experiencing. It's just experiencing. And it's totally empty of any feeling, of any emotion, of any motivation. All of that comes and goes in it. It's absent of all of that. And that's your birthright. Like when you wake up in the morning, it's there prior to you realizing it. It's even there in deep sleep, but in deep sleep there's no forms to be conscious of, so it just disappears, like time just is gone. But when you wake up in the morning, like the consciousness switches on, and then it doesn't even switch on because it's already there, but the consciousness is there, and then the person says, and then the person slowly comes in and recognizes itself, and it's like, oh yes, I'm asleep in bed, and it starts narrating its life.
Yeah, and I can feel how that's like creating time.
Creating time, creating
like
place.
suffering.
Like do you often when I'm in the morning waking up, like my mind likes to think like, where am I? And I like to remember where it is.
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah, I
sometimes.
mean, sometimes I'm aware before I wake up,
Mm,
and I can see like all the memories and
yeah.
the sense of being like coming in. I'm like,
Mm.
oh no, but that's
Yeah,
all
and
about the fearfulness.
sometimes like the first feeling is dread of the person.
Yeah,
So
yeah, maybe that's yeah.
consciousness is totally free all the time. So it doesn't care if you wake up or not, or if it's recognized or not, because it is already free. It's here, it's watching everything, and it has no desire.
Yeah, it's very freeing.
It's just watching. And it's there and accessible all the time because it's you. It's that which is watching the person, which is in anxiety or not in anxiety, or wanting to give up or not giving up. It's always there. What happens though is that the person goes into seeking, and then there is a focus in on that pain of seeking. So it's like the seeking, you could say, takes up all the screen, or the seeking becomes focused on. And the seeking involves like this identification that that is who I am. And the seeking is this storyteller that's always trying to get somewhere and be something. I want to be something.
Yeah,
And then
because maybe.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, maybe because there's a thought of like freedom in there. It's like, I mean, yeah.
Well, there's
Oftentimes
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's discomfort, and then
Yeah.
and then and then that's like, it's like a train that takes over. So maybe you wake up in the morning and the narration starts that the reason that you're unhappy is because of what happened with this person, and then you, like, if you're more into spirituality, maybe you then trace it back to the beginning of that feeling and where it came from and your parents. But most people that aren't into this subject, they're just totally in that train.
Yeah,
They wake
that
up
could
and
still happen.
yeah, that's blame and it's this person, and the mind is off. And that's a habit. You could say this is karma. Like that's the karma of
Yeah,
that body-mind mechanism. And waking up is the disidentification with that is not the experiencer. The experiencer is what's watching that. It's this break that happens. That is not the experiencer. That person is not the experiencer. That person, though, is always believing in itself and always believing that my happiness is going to come when I sort out these friends and I do this and I do that. And that's not true.
yeah, I can see how maybe even the mind is trying to deny your words, and at the same time, I recognize that's true.
Mm. And then is there another part that can kind of, like, that's kind of being called, that's beyond that?
Yeah,
This watching, this stillness.
yeah. So what the mind wants to go was holding on to just now, um, was like what seems to is when the pain body comes up, like, and in the last few days, and it dissipated when I was listening to you in the beginning of the talk, was like this like visceral like hatred,
For,
that was just,
for
so
yourself or for others?
I was both like, um and probably also towards like specific uh and people, and it was like the freedom is in getting out of that, but the contraction is at that point so great that um even though there's a sense of stillness momentarily every now and again, then it's like, that will basically takes over. It's like, and I don't act it out. I don't yell at anyone. I don't, sometimes I do exercises or something to get it out. But it dissipated when I was listening to you, and I was like, how can I bring that like stillness or clarity, or like it just wasn't true anymore. It just wasn't there anymore, seemingly. Um,
And what I would,
to my life.
yeah, what I would suggest happens is when you're listening, like there's something that was like coming more present, like more forward, like so often
Yeah.
the consciousness and the person are sort of all tied in together. And then when I'm speaking about non-duality, that consciousness is, like, you could say, detaching or releasing from that person. Because hatred to me tends to always be seeking. So you can have anger that's not seeking, but hatred tends to always be seeking. Like, I would say that that's definitely something that's gone here. I get anger towards people. Like anger is action, and sometimes my anger isn't fair. Like, I reflect on it and I contemplate it and it changes, but hatred is definitely seeking.
Yeah, it's like my freedom is being impeded. And that's what, and
Their
then
fault or my fault.
yeah. Yeah, that's what will sort of drive it.
Yeah, it's really great to name it as hatred. Roger used to always make me name hatred when hatred was present. And does this hatred have a wanting to hurt self or other?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's just the pain body, really. It's just like a condensed, like, version of all the grievances. And then that hatred is seems to be just a mode of expression of sort of everything that's been bundled up then.
That's so great that you recognize this, because somebody that doesn't recognize this and goes unconsciously through life, it will act out in all types of unconscious ways, because most of the time people can't really admit that they're hating or that they're in hatred. Like, so it just comes out in lots of different ways. So it's really great that it's recognized, that it's named, and that you're seeing it for what it is.
Yeah.
And recognizing those grievances. And there's two different things that can happen. There is, in the personality structure, recognizing and understanding where they're coming from, giving it space, accepting them. And this is all in the personality structure, and this is healing the personality structure. And then there is the recognition that that isn't you, that isn't the watcher, that that is being watched. That even in that hatred, there is something that is totally free. So there's something that's totally expanded and totally freed, and then in that there is this vessel that has hatred. And it can come, like, if you're not recognizing it, it'll come out in all types of ways. Like, in the most extreme, it would come out as murder, like a murder. But it can come out as like trying to hurt, trying to put the other person down, trying to be better than the other person, trying to beat the other person.
It can, I mean, it might be weird, but it can come out as like avoiding as well.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well then I'm just gonna, like the victim goes like, yeah, all right, I'm just gonna give up and yeah.
And what's most
That will
probably
upset.
what most probably is below that is fear. Like fear of abandonment and fear of death.
Yeah.
But you don't have to jump to those. Like, they're the deeper feelings. But like spending time in that hatred and letting that out of the body.
Well, it is what I feel initially, like fear and fear of abandonment, and then that turns into these other things. But the thing I'm trying not to do is like this snowball effect where it gets sort of like so out of control that I'm just going through a few days where I'm like, about to blow up, but like, not taking it out on anyone or doing anything, but I can go for a jog or work out or whatever.
Totally, yeah. They're
Do
great things.
Osho. But I've been kind of neglecting that, so maybe it's built up because of that. I don't know, but it seems to, when you were speaking, it just seemed to sort of dissipate. It was like, oh, it wasn't even really there. Was it really
totally. Yeah, so what happened in that is that there was detachment from the person, and then there was like the consciousness was coming more and more present, and then it just evaporates. And that's not necessarily always the case, but that tends to be what happens.
Yeah.
So it becomes irrelevant, or it goes very much into the background.
Yeah, and can that be avoiding, or is that?
No, the way you described it today, it sounded like there there wasn't avoidance, there was just like a resonance. And so something expanded in you. Avoiding to me would be more like really putting effort into trying to get rid of it, which won't work. So, yeah, all types of ways. Unconscious ways could be playing computer games, but it's like when you do the Osho practices and when you do all these exercises, it's like, yeah, you want to dissipate that energy, but it's also like doing that energy to really to doing those things to really embrace it. Like, you know, as you do the exercise, it's like really embracing it, really letting that anger like fuel it.
Yeah.
Like really allowing it to be there when you do Osho exercises. So yes, there's the idea, okay, I want to release this, but it's more from that place of being in it, whereas something like playing computer games is like total trying to get out of it. But if it turns into trauma, then I would actually I'd recommend doing something like playing computer games or watching TV, like, because you can also get to this place where you get stuck in it, and then you need to do something to try and move yourself out of it. And that's something that you have to really become conscious of yourself when you're getting stuck in it. And some people can have like an OCD where they get stuck in a loop of it. So then doing something else will break it.
Yeah. I mean, I spend a lot of time distracting myself now. You know, I think I'm trying to get away from feelings, but yeah, if I could just go beyond them, you know, then there's no trouble with it then, you know. Yeah. It seems to be possible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, totally. Nice. Oh, thanks for calling in, Brian.
Yeah. Thank you,
lovely
Lisa.
to speak with
I
you, and good
appreciate
luck
it.
going to Mexico. That's a
Thank
nice
you.
thing to do as it gets colder in the
Yeah.
Western Hemisphere.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'll go yet, but we'll see. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Lisa. Have a good night.
Yeah.
I
You too.
appreciate it. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
This is from Maria. I just do this last question and then that's enough for today. Hi Lisa, a written question if you have time. I've been noticing that when I am in the moment, I accept certain behaviors from other people, but then later realize that I was allowing my boundaries to be crossed. This happens especially at work, where I say yes to things and only later I realize I wanted to say no. Do you have any suggestions for how to stay within my boundaries in the moment without using overthinking? Hey Maria, thanks for the question. That's such a sweet question. Yeah, it's a train. You've got to train the body. Yeah, so it's like blissing out into this consciousness, but training the body to respond, because boundaries aren't a given for everyone, and waking up doesn't give you suddenly boundaries. It's all dependent on how you're brought up, if you're brought up to be more compliant or less compliant. So it's a training. That's an exercise like working out a muscle. So Ramesh used to say, in every given moment, do exactly what you feel like doing, which is beautiful. But in that, you have to train your body to be less compliant, I suppose. So in a way, Ramesh would say, like if saying yes to your colleague happens, that's exactly what you wanted to do in that moment, which is true. Like in that moment, there was a yes that appeared, so that's what you wanted to do. But then later, you realized that it was too passive. There's all sorts of things that can happen. So the way that you retrain your body is through contemplation of behaviors. So firstly, a contemplation of the way that your parents taught you to respond to making choices, doing things, and pleasing other people. And then bringing that more into consciousness when you do behaviors, but without overthinking, like you say. So it's just through time, it will be retrained. You have to watch. So in certain situations, I can be too flexible. And so the body-mind can be too flexible. And it's not actually healthy in the end to be too flexible. And that's through training, and it's very specific to certain people and situations. So there has to be a recognition of that, recognizing when I'm crossing the boundaries, recognizing when I'm being too pleasing, and contemplating of that, contemplating where it comes from, feeling it in the body. And then this will begin to reprogram your body. But it's a very gentle thing, and it's something that will happen more through time as you get used to it. Because what happens to me with certain people, like, I can't really mention it because I've got to keep people's privacy, but like a relative, is that I love them so much and I want them to be happy, that feeling is so organic from my body and feels really beautiful and feels really loving. But in order for them to be happy in the human world, on their pleasure and pain spectrum, sometimes they require too many things that's unfair to ask the other person to do. But in the moment, like, I feel so much love for them, then I can get into doing all these things. And it's not necessarily people pleasing, it's that my focus is on that. It's on loving them. And so I have to retrain my focus onto another part of me, which is there, but it's smaller. You can feel it less. It's in the background more, which it knows what it's capable of and not capable of. So, for example, recently they wanted to come on a road trip with me to meet a friend, but my trip was quite quick, and I knew if they came, I would end up being exhausted. It would be too much interaction, seeing the friend, having them, having their energies. But in the moment, there was wanting to love them and show them love, and just like a focus on them, and there's like a yeah that wants to come out. But then in the background, there's a knowing that will exhaust me. And it's more putting more attention on that. And that really that is the most loving answer. Because they don't want to exhaust me. I'm better for them if I'm not exhausted. But it's less trained. What's been more trained is that other feeling on top, or that other feeling. There's been more focus on that, because of course we want to give to the other person and make the other person happy. That's not necessarily seeking. It can go into seeking. But yeah, that's our natural response as human. We actually are givers in a way. Like, we want to get on as a community. We want to love each other. We want the other to feel loved. That's so beautiful. But it's just there's been too much a focus on that. So it's a training, recognizing it. So in that moment, there was like a wanting to say yes. And then there was this other smaller part that was hidden that realized it's got to come more forward. And that will come more forward the more you focus on it. Like anything in the sixth essence, if you're focused on the color blue, you'll see blue everywhere. If you focus on boundaries, then the boundaries will come more present. It's beautiful. Yeah, nice. Thank you so much for the question, Maria. Yes, okay, that is enough for tonight. Yeah. So I shall see you next Sunday. Yeah, I can't think of any notifications that I want to say. I just want to say that I wish you everything. Everything. Not just one thing, not two things, but everything. Yeah. Lots of love. Bye.